Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of the weekly update. It is the second weekly update for 2024. What is the weekly update? The weekly update is when I talk about things that I've already talked about, and then I talk a little bit about things that I'm going to talk about later. It's wild, isn't it? There was at least 3 quick reviews during last week, and we call that depleting the stock of stuff to be quick viewed. That's sometimes the way that goes. In the upcoming week, we have no less than 3. It came from the Workbench installments. 16, 31, 30. We do have a quick view imminent. The Radio Master MT12 will be up shortly. I don't know how thorough that review is. It's really more just an opportunity to open up the floor to questions, I think. So I think the most appropriate term is futzing with that for about a week. There's definitely going to be more work on the CJ. We've got, as you know, that is not a sponsored build, but it kind of is, because it's not for me, built by the Canyon for someone else. So here is the box of parts that will be going on it. Sort of gradually, we're going to go in steps as we get through there. I think I have completed, I just have to source hardware, which is I built an Element Stealth XF in the most difficult, most expensive way possible, which is over the span of about 5 months. Whenever I would be making an order from A-Main or RPP or wherever, I'd be like, oh, I need to get a top shaft, or oh, I need to get the gear pack. So this is the most and I think it is complete, and this is relevant because we have a set of axles. So despite the fact that there is, please don't count how many it came from a Workbench series that aren't complete. There are. I don't want to think about it. The Flanco is still here, and I think Irwin's t-shirt came in from Cafe Press. We're assembling a box. If we have to send a box to Belgium, we're going to stuff that box full of goodies. I still have to cut. He has requested a set of Canyon Trails. 2 of them of S1 Canyon Trails. 2 of them are cut. 2 of them are not. I still need to cut those 2. I think the Flanco is just going to ship out on Canyon Trails, because I've just never... The ripsaws are not... They're not singing to me on that build. Like, particularly after that Wheelin' Wednesday entry, where the Flanco was just better on the Injora pins, and over where he is, AliExpress is a frequent shopping destination, so he can get mini pins at any time, but he is I'm reaching up out of frame. He has never driven Canyon Trails. And does this make a noise? That's all Canyon Trails. That's all Canyon Trails. We love Canyon Trails here. The Crawler Canyon loves Canyon Trails. So we're going to try to get that out of here. I need to start doing the tuning work on Woody. The Falcon edition. I don't know if it's this week. I don't know if it'll be next week. The final part of the Falcon has arrived, and it sounds like that. The Falcon build is going to be a fun one. During that build, we are never going to talk about how much this thing cost. But suffice it to say, the CJ over here with the $500 RTR isn't going to come close to what the total gross sum on whatever it turns out to be named. What comes as the Trucks of Fortune build, what it ends at is bonkers, because it has a big plastic tub of parts. But we have to offset that cost entirely, because sort of running hand in hand while now has a Falcon body on it. It's right on the other side of this. It's right about just out of frame up. The Falcon is in Visitor Garage because it doesn't have a parking spot yet. Most of what we're using every part of the Buffalo. Everything that comes off that vehicle and isn't used is going in the Raptor build. There are so many builds here that are contributing to the Raptor build. I knew that the CJ was destined to be a rock crawler, which is why I put Toyos on it and took the Baja bosses off. Because what are the Baja bosses? They are ribbed and belted. And I think these will look astonishing with the Raptor body. And thanks to other contributions to the Canyon, we got the tires. We got the wheels. Those wheels, I was searching the internet. I was looking up pictures of 2017 Ford Raptor. Ford be getting credit. They ain't just running some methods. They be running some crazy looking wheels. These wheels are Trials 10 bolt on the back. These will be phenomenal. Yeah, we're going to put so much of what is the Falcon into the build of the Raptor, and it's going to be great. I think we are very close to having everything we need to build the Raptor. It's getting a... Can't even tell what that is. That's a bag. It's getting an Amazon 2-speed because this is going to a person who has never driven a rock crawler in their lives. So it's going to be straight axles. It's going to be 2-speed. It's going to have the Raptor. It's going to have the Mickey Thompson Baja bus. So we're going for something that, yes, I don't know how to build something that isn't a rock crawler specifically. I turn things that aren't rock crawlers into rock crawlers. So we're going to try to lean on trail a little bit. Before the Baja bosses showed up, I was either going to put it on these and then remembered that he'll probably rip the sidewalls clean off, or my other thought was flat irons. But flat irons are a little too, look at the rubber danglies, are a little too rough and tumble. So I think the Baja boss is absolutely the way to go. So those two builds will coincide as whenever parts come off of what is now sitting the Falcon, still all with its plastic and the transmitter zip tied to it. As stuff comes off of it, it will go onto the Raptor, and the same goes for the CJ. Some of the takeoff parts on the CJ are going into the Raptor as well. The community, it's like a circle. It is Ouroboros. It is a snake eating itself. The crawler stuff, big gets crawler stuff. The VRD and the Bronco, which is the VRD and the FRD, they sit because it is currently 41 degrees inside the building. And did I paint a body this week? Yes. Yes, I did. I still have the paint on my fingers. But it was miserable. It was the absolute worst conditions for painting. I painted on a windy day, partly cloudy, with the air temperature right around 50 degrees. So there was a lot of heat gun use, but I'm oddly kind of proud of it. So we'll give a little sneaky peeky before the actual installment episode, because there's a lot more that went on under the hood than there is that are on the outside. Someone in the comments had said you should do camouflage, and I thought, yes, I should. Leaned into it with the Humvee style wheels. He is sitting super narrow on the track. He is so fast. This thing is so fast in second gear. It is ridiculous because, as I said, a lot went on under the hood, which we will get to in It Came From the Workbench installment. This is all painted. This how I painted this, and I kind of went for do y'all remember Rhodesian camouflage? If you were involved in any sort of pursuit or activity that allowed you to wear camouflage, like through the 90s and into the 2000s, you could get all sorts of odd camo patterns. And I wanted to start with a base of olive drab, and I thought I had olive drab, and I didn't. I pulled out the available cans of Krylon camouflage paint, and I had tan, brown, black, gray, no olive drab, and I wasn't leaving the house. It was cold, it was windy, it was miserable. So this entire body is painted with full cart, multi-surface, and I took an insert from when I tested the fake tusks. They had those really firm inserts. I ripped the insert into pieces, which is how I got so much paint on me, and I sponge painted this body. So this body is all done with a sponge and multi-surface hobby paint and a heat gun. I would dab the paint on, heat gun it, dab the paint on, heat gun it. Then I took a couple of the, okay, we can get the colors out. We used camel, we used this, I should say, the base green, because at that point I was still intending on painting the whole thing with spray paint, is like a Krylon, not hunter green. It might be hunter green. And it was like way too dark of a green, like a United States Marine Corps camo green. So I was like, well, if we don't have olive drab, we're going to have to lean into it. So I used licorice, camel, bright green, and bark brown. And I just took chunks of sponges and I just kind of made the pattern. Man, the hide on the black is ridiculous. And then I had about half of the insert left over. I tore that, so I had about a quarter of the insert. I poured a bunch of my drinking water out of my bottle that I drink out of onto that thing, swooshed it around because, the colors were very bright. Swooshed it around with the sponge and just literally wet washed the whole thing. Then coated over it with, and by the way, all of these colors there's a folk art set at like Joann or Michael's where the tops look like this to designate multi-surface, and it's like 10 bottles. So all of the colors on here, except the green, it would have to have been even bright. But I could have mixed the green and the brown, and after I had painted the base, I was like, you could have just made your own olive drab, but it was too late. The paint goes on super thick. I washed the whole thing. There's no sanding. There's no nothing. And then this, the delicious matte, I like to do a little dirt, like a little dust, and it was cold. And the tan that was in the spray can came out very heavy. I'm hoping it wears in because it looks very excessive right now. But I just wanted to kind of mute all the colors. And I wanted it to look, my thought the whole time while doing it, and this isn't just a cop-out to excuse my poor excuse for a sponge paint job, which was a blast, honestly. Frozen hands and I was filthy, but it was a blast. It told me that I need different diff covers for this guy. He just needs black diff covers, which I might have one. And I can just take these diff covers. It just occurred to me right now. Thanks for pointing it out. I can just take these diff covers right here and soak them in, what is it, super clean? And it will just dissolve the fake plastic chrome coating off, and then they'll just be black underneath. So I need to do that. I was thinking technical the whole time, like someone had painted this themselves, because I knew there were going to be spots where the original yellow color was bleeding through. So I wanted it to look like somebody painted it over to be paramilitary, let's say. And we have a huge takeaway from this, and that is in my hand, right here. This whole thing has 2 coats. I did 1 coat over it while the masks were still on, installed all the body pieces, went over it again. So that's how we do the windshield wiper on the windshield. We cut I did a swipe with the wiper so that the wiper is, that is the throw of the windshield wiper. So it has 2 coats, Krylon Fusion, all in one, flat clear. Ladies and gentlemen, it is flat. Look how low the reflectivity is off of the hood and the roof. It really neutralized all of the layers. Like, look at that flow right there. You get it at the right angle, and you're all, good God, that is flat. We love the Tamiya TS58, which comes in a little can, PS58, a little can that looks like this, and usually 100 mils, and usually goes about $8 when I have to buy a can. In general, you can achieve 1 body, or maybe a body and a cab together. 2 cabs, no problem, but out of 1 can. This is a flat clear. This is 340 mils. I use none of this. You could do 10 out of this, and it lays. We finally found it. And let me interject. So, of course, we have the Tamiya. We have the Tamiya PS58, which we've tried. We've got Krylon Color Max I have tried the satin and the flat. This is the satin. The flat is empty. It's flat-ish. We've tried Krylon Special Purpose Clear Polyurethane. We have tried Duplicolor 1K Clear Extreme Matte Finish. It is not. We have tried Krylon Color. Oh, there it is. There's the flat crystal. So we'll take away the satin. Well, we tried the satin. We also tried Color Shot Clear Sealer Matte from Joanne Crafts. And we have finally arrived at the Krylon Fusion all-in-one clear, flat clear. And in order of flatness, yeah, I would say about like that. Flattest to least flat. And obviously that one's satin, so it has an excuse. But this satin and this flat are like, they're like right there. You almost can't tell the difference. These two, this one didn't lay down well enough. I forgot one. It would go about there. Traxxas Pro Graphics Matte Clear comes out like dust, almost. Like it doesn't spray like paint. Comes out like dust. And it leaves a very textured finish. This is smooth. Most of the texture is coming from the fact that a lunatic painted it with a sponge and bottle paints. But we finally have a can that is what it says right there, flat clear, 100% is. So 100% props to Krylon, and that's the fourth Krylon flat that we've tried. Hey, they're available anywhere. And our goal is to find paints that work anywhere. There is not a speck of RC specific paint on this vehicle. Not any. Well, his base coat is to me a PS56 mustard yellow, which is how Colonel Mustard got his name when this body was on Colonel Mustard. So we will repurpose everything until there is nothing left to repurpose. So as I said some moments ago, Kronk will be getting a full installment of his Came From the Workbench series because he may or may not have gotten an entire drivetrain replacement. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So what we do on a day like today, despite the fact that we're up to 42. It was 41.5 when I said it before. It is now 42 degrees inside the building. A human being is a heater. I am generating heat all the time. I have a little Vornado benchtop heater, which I'll put it here while I'm working, and it keeps my hands warm enough to function. I have to complain about the 6 weeks we get of something akin to winter. So we wheel, and today we're going to wheel. We're going to do a wheel brought to us courtesy of the Radio Master MT12. Because what the Radio Master MT12 did was free up a whole bunch of radios. We could, there we go. It's like we can do that better. I think for the first time wheeled together, Ratchet and Clank. It could not be more appropriate than Ratchet and Clank. Am I right? And the freeing up of the radios. Matching vintage Sanwa MX3X, including one with you may have seen it on Instagram. I took a piece of poplar. I drilled 9 holes in it. And I have actually not wheeled it outside to feel how it feels. Would I like to use the box of mold making rubber that I've had sitting on the bench for I don't know how long in an attempt to mold my own? Because the foams are never big enough. You touch the plastic. Kimbrough is apparently never going to bring back KIM 134s, the rubber scalloped wheel grip, and I have a lot of them, but more radios keep showing up and more radios keep showing up, so I don't have enough. So we have resorted to a piece of poplar, the proof of concept. Hey, it might work. We don't know. We're going to take these two gentlemen out and we're going to mush about a little bit in the freezing cold. I'm wearing my Christmas beanie, and I don't mean that it is Christmas themed. I mean, the wife bought me a new Carhartt beanie because I had an olive drab Carhartt beanie, and I don't know, where do beanies go? Beanies go presumably to the same place socks go when they disappear. Who knows? So we're going to take these two gentlemen out who are similar yet wildly dissimilar, and we're just going to have a good old time, man. We're going to have a good old time. We're going to start off by trying something that, honestly, I was running through the data banks. Have I ever done this before? It's 36 degrees. The California will lie to you. It is bright. It is sunny. It is crystal clear. It's dry. It's 36 degrees. My hands, they don't like it. So I don't know if I've ever driven without gloves on. I mean, with gloves on. I've always driven without gloves on. Gonna have to let some stuff loosen up a little. Okay, the steering is fine. I used we saw this guy a second ago. I used a 3/4 inch bit to drill the finger grips, and I want to say it's 1 5/8 inches, and it fit pretty snug on the wheel. They will fit glove fingers. I think they're a little overly deep. This is definitely something akin to a prototype. We can go for. Oh, and the old MX3X. Here's why the old MX3X is great. So, if we go high, it goes low, high. So we're on high, and then we go low, and it's technically impossible to forget what gear you're in. Clank is, of course, a mullet, and, well, he did that without any kind of problems or drama. They have the same tires. There we go. I wanted it to not look as absolutely clean for Clank. I didn't want him showing up ratchet. The mullet. Every time I wheel out the mullet, I have to say, I get it. I get it. The enhanced breakover. I'm gonna wiggle, and then we'll come around. The further you stay to the right, the better you're doing. And we've got to give our old foam riding 2-2 canyon trails, we got to give them a little bit of leeway. The rock is as cold or potentially a little colder right now than the ambient temperature. We don't have any sort of temperature specific compound here. I think it's the despite Ratchet being on portals all the way around, he's got about 8% more rear underdrive than Clank. So have we found that very cold temperatures are better on smaller underdrives? I don't know. What does a friend do? A friend helps a friend out. They for two vehicles fitted with the same tire, the performance difference, it's not the performance difference, it's the differential in the way they handle. Yeah, all Clank wants to do is climb. He cannot help a friend out. Someone in the comments made a comment something along the lines of, you build them and you paint them and they look so pretty, and then you take them out and you just roll them and scratch them all up. And my response to that is, well, that's the point. That's why we build them. If they don't have scratches on them, I don't understand. What's the point? What are we even doing? This isn't a concours show, man. We're not here to make the shiniest, prettiest, non-useful thing. We're here to make the temporarily shiniest and prettiest, very useful thing. These are rock crawlers. They are built with a singular purpose in mind, which is to crawl rocks. And the beauty of rock crawlers, in my estimation, is that there's so many different kinds and so many different flavors that you can just keep building them. And you can have 2 rigs side by side like this in Ratchet and Clank that handle wildly differently. Oh, I can really see the underdrive there. There he goes. That claw up felt really good. And then right, yeah, oh, I don't know. I am not in the position to pick a favorite, nor would I desire to do so. They both have merit, and hey, in the game, there's the parts that Ratchet does, and there's the parts that Clank does. Clank does parts. I'm gonna blame any tire hop or shutter on the fact that I can't feel my index finger in either hand. I was worried that my index finger barely fits inside the and now it doesn't. I kind of have to come in oblique like that. And I thought for sure I was going to be whanging reverse. But no, it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if I have one takeaway from today's festivities, it's that I can drive with gloves on, and it's kind of groundbreaking for me. Oh yeah. So completely different gearboxes, obviously. I fabricated the one that's in Ratchet. Clank is a Benedict Harry 2-speed, just like the indistinguishable one in the plastic bag that's going in the Raptor. The split in that box is so big that low gear is so low and high gear is absurdly bordering on the unusably high. I thought the Traxxas gearbox had a lot of split in it until I got to this thing. What? Oh, you know what? How the tables have tabled. Can Clank come to the rescue of his associate? Can Ratchet come to the rescue of his associate? The answer is friendship. If we both die, we die together. These are definitely 2 fellas that, they're good buddies. So they're not getting to get in a foot race, because if they get in a foot race, for those familiar with the series, Clank is a little robot. He can make little propellers come out of him. He's going to win that foot race. Ooh. Ooh. Hey. Hey, that's pretty fluid through there. Credit where credit is due, and I don't mean to the guy that built them. This isn't that kind of party. That's a Spare Time Hobbies chassis that showed up in the canyon, and we decided to build a rig out of it. If you want to do a 180, that's how you do it. That was exactly what I had intended from the second that I picked up the radio, and no one would be able to prove any different. I'm still amazed at how quiet my gearbox is. I mean, it was built in a non-precise manner using gears and parts from no less than 3 manufacturers, plus the parts that I had to fabricate myself. But yeah, it's even more planted through that section than Clank is. More weight in the core, more core mass. Oh, I'm gonna need a minute. So we will conclude this little sojourn of light and shadow here at what I call the deadliest of the Montanas, Hannah, Montana, when in reality, I think Monty, Montana might be the deadliest of Montanas, because there are the 2 passes at Monty, Montana. You've got the southern side and you've got the northern side, and they are both brutal. Maybe not brutality, maybe fatality, because the pass up the north side has a perfect overhang to get your roof stuck under, and it transitions out of angry Lexan noises and into frightened human noises more often than not. This is a great spot to not get your tire to hang and to fall off. Frightened human noises. Ooh. Hey. The thing of it is, I'm most surprised that I managed to do that with gloves on. The delicate applications of throttle, you don't realize, and by you I mean me, I don't realize how much feedback I'm getting from the trigger until I'm not getting really feedback from the trigger. If you have a radio that has really high spring tension on the trigger, like anything Spectrum, particularly SLT3, DX3, wear gloves. Put some gloves on, and you won't be able to feel the spring tension anymore. Now, I want to know if he can cut the inside here. I'm hearing some drive shaft. I was hearing some drive shaft squeak there, a little bit of squeak. You know what? Let's see if we can swing it around town. Let's see if we can give one more failed attempt at helping a friend. Nope. They ride together, they die together. So I think the cold is setting into me, and it's doing that thing, what I call winter in the desert. My back is so hot from the sun. It's like being around a campfire in reverse. My back is so hot and my face is, like the tip of my nose is freezing cold. So I think it's driving the will to wheel out of my body. So I will take this opportunity to thank you for stopping by the canyon. Invite you to comment below. All of those usual things. Let's see. Can we get it out on this point here? Let's get him right. Yeah. We need something cinematic, you know. We got stuff to do, man. We got builds underway. We got builds upcoming. We got builds that need to be finished, but regulars will know it is not a Canyon's strength to start something and then finish it in record time. Aside from Skeeter, man, it came from the Workbench 23. Like I finished in a day. Like he went, there was nothing, and then he was done, and then like 3 days later, he went home to Washington. He is definitely the outlier. He is the statistic that you discard, because that's not the way we work here. Like right here, the additional overdrive percentage or underdrive in Ratchet helps. I hope that looks good on cam 2. Does that look good on cam 2? That looks pretty good on cam 2. We're gonna have Clank drive us out. So ignore that poor umbrella. He was too good for this world. Blown across the yard by wind so many times, because despite a lifetime of living in the desert, the wind does somehow seem to sneak up on me, and then all of a sudden that umbrella is 100 feet from where it is now. And I hate that patio umbrellas now, they come with a little thing where if you keep cranking the thing, it puts it in an angle. I don't want the angle because it's a weak point. And it was indeed a weak point because it broke at that little twisty bit. But the umbrella was still okay, so I put a pipe clamp basically on the outside of it. 2 half circles with clamps around it to hold it straight. So now you can't fold that umbrella down. So upside down in the corner like that is kind of his safest position. He still wanders around a little bit now and again, but he's relatively safe in that position. He's not long for this world. He's got broken parts and he's got a couple holes in him, but we don't give up. We don't say die until he's dead. So Clank on an 1800 on portals. The belt drive. Oh, that was an. I can't even copy that figure 8. That was a beautiful figure 8 that I did on accident. So the belt drive is what perks him back up on the Mias portals. So Ratchet is no slouch. Like he can zoom off into the sunset, but he ain't got the zip of the kid that they put in a special class. So low gear, and there is a belt drive in this gearbox as well. But this is the kind of split we're talking about because that's low, and this is high.
We'll see you next time, everybody.